Okay, good morning everyone. Today we are going to see a new topic, that is water of crystallization. Every ionic compound is crystalline in nature. Now what do you understand by crystalline in nature? I have over here blue vitriol, which is copper sulfate. You can see this, it is not like powder. It is crystalline in nature. You can see the shine on it. Why is it crystalline in nature? Because in this the compounds are arranged, or the ions are arranged in a definite pattern, and while this is formed there is water molecule contained in it. It is automatically created when the water of crystallization formed, that is the copper sulfate CuSO4. When it is formed, there is specific molecules of water contained in it. Now as you can see, the color of it is blue. That is why it is known as blue vitriol. Let us see how we see it when we mix it with water. Okay. You can see here Annie mixing that blue vitriol with water. Putting plain water into it. You can see the color of it. The color is blue, light blue. Okay. Now we shall heat it and we shall see what happened to it. Please remember this color, all of you. Okay, what color we have got. Okay. Let us keep it for heating and let us see what happened to it. Okay, we have taken some crystalline forms of blue vitriol and we have taken it in a test tube and we are heating it now. Okay, let us see what happened to it when we are heating it. Okay, now you can see that the color is changing. The color is changing into white powder. And as you observe the upper part of the test tube, can you see that water vapor getting collected over there? From where did this water come in? We had not put water, we have put the blue vitriol, which is in the solid form. You can see still that is there in the test tube. You can see that. And you can see as it is getting heated, that blue color is changing and that it is getting into a white powder. And you can see the water droplets getting collected. Let us see what happens to it. Okay, you can see that it is getting completely white over there. It has turned out to be fully white, and you can see the upper part of the test tube where the water particles are getting collected. Water vapor is getting collected. The powder is become white. What has happened over here? On heating, the crystalline structure of blue vitriol, that is copper sulfate CuSO4, it broke down and formed a colorless powder and water is come out of it. This water was a part of the crystalline structure. That is why you can see the water droplets on top, that water vapor on upper part of the test tube, because this was already there when the crystalline form was formed. Now there is a specific amount of it. It is not that copper sulfate feel like taking too much of water, no. A particular number. So the blue vitriol, the chemical formula is CuSO4 5 water molecule. So in this blue vitriol that we had seen, the blue vitriol, it contains 5 molecules of water along with the copper sulfate. Now all the water has escaped from it and it has become white powder. Let us see whether the chemical property changes. We had seen that earlier when we had mixed with the blue vitriol. What color did we get? We got a blue solution. Now we are going to add water to this white powder and let us see what happens to it. Okay? We are mixing water. Can you see what happened over here? Look at the color. The color is come back to blue. So what can you conclude from it? What can you conclude from it? When we heat it, the physical properties changed, but you can see it is as blue as earlier copper sulfate solution that we had taken. You can see that both the colors are same. Okay. Now, what do we conclude from it? We conclude that on heating, the physical properties changed, but the chemical properties did not change. Okay. Though while heating, the water molecule escaped from that, but copper sulfate remained the same. This is what we call it as water of crystallization. We also have ferrous sulfate. You can see ferrous sulfate. This is green in color. That is why this is also called as green vitriol. If you look at it, you can see that this also is crystalline in nature. This also shines. Okay. So if we heat it again, it will become a white powder. And if we have to put water into that, it will give us a green color. Now I repeat, what do you mean by water of crystallization? That is a definite number of water molecules present in the crystalline structure of an ionic compound, that is called as water of crystallization. I repeat, the definite number of water molecules present in the crystalline structures of an ionic compound is called water of crystallization. Every ionic compounds are crystalline in nature. These crystals are formed as a result of definite arrangement of ions. Now, in the crystals of some compounds, there are water molecules, not in every compound. That is why we have certain water of crystallization. For example, we have blue vitriol, that is copper sulfate, with 5 molecules of water in it. We have green vitriol, that is ferrous sulfate, with 7 molecules of water in it. We have crystalline washing soda. I suppose you remember what is the chemical formula for washing soda? That is sodium carbonate, Na2CO3. If it contains 10 molecules of water, then we call it as crystalline washing soda. Then we have crystalline alum, that is potassium aluminium sulfate with 24 molecules of water in it. Please read your textbook clearly and get the remaining knowledge from it. Okay? Okay guys. Now we are going to see an electrolytic cell. Okay? How is the setup done? We know that the electricity flow only if the circuit is complete. Now you can see that we have a battery connected over here. This is what we call it as a battery. You can see that plus and minus sign over there. That is of the cell, positive terminal and the negative terminal of the cell. It is connected to electrodes. This is what we call it as electrodes. Now you can see that the negative wire, that is, you can see the red wire coming, that is a negative connected. We have here 2 electrodes. As you can see, there are 2 electrodes over here. Okay. Now the negative is connected to the negative electrode, which we call it as cathode, and you can see the positive, that is a yellow wire, connected to the positive electrode, that is called as the anode. Okay, these are 2 electrodes and it is kept in a solution. We can see water over here. Now as you look at it, the electrodes are dipped in the water. Now we have taken acidified water, not plain water. That we shall see why. Plain water do not have so much of ions in it. But as you can see over here, it is an acidified water. That means 2-3 drops of acid is mixed in this water. Okay. Now we shall see whether the circuit is complete. If the circuit is complete, we have put on the cell. When the cell is on, you can see that the bulb is glowing over here. That means the circuit is complete. Bulb is glowing, therefore the circuit is complete. Now, how is the circuit complete where you can see that the electrodes are not touching each other? Then, how is the electricity passed from one electrode to the other electrode? We know that for the circuit to be complete, there should not be any gap but as you can see, there is gap between the electrodes. So what is happening over here? The electrons pass through the wire. From the negative terminal, we know that the electrons are coming, and they are coming and passing through this wire and coming through this negative electrode, that is the cathode, and left in the water. Now what happens in the water? We have seen that while dissociation takes place, and this water is full of positive and negative ions. So the positive and negative ions that is mixed in this water, or that is present in this water, carry the electricity from this negative terminal, negative electrode, through the water to the positive electrode over here. And from there, again through the wire, as you can see, it is going through the cell and coming to the bulb. Thus the circuit is complete. So when we speak over here, the circuit is complete. Only thing, when it comes to the electrode, the ions from the electrode carry the charge to the next electrode. So this water, that what we have over here, that is what we call the carrier. That is why we have acidified it. We have acidified it so that the ions are created over there. Therefore, we call the solution in the beaker as electrolyte. Strong acids are good electrolytes. As you know, they will be dissociated completely and lot of ions will be there. That is the reason we had mixed 2-3 drops of acid in plain water, so that there are a lot of ions created and it become a strong electrolyte. So for the electrolytic cell, the electrolyte and the electrodes are compulsory. Okay. And the electrodes, as you know, the negative electrode is known as cathode and the positive electrode is known as anode. Now, why do we call it as an cathode, the negative electrode? We know that cations are positive and the positive cations will come to cathode. So positive is always attracted to negative. That is the reason the cathode have negative charge. And the anode is positive. Therefore, who is coming to the anode? The anions from the solution will be coming to the anode. I suppose this is clear to everyone how is an electrolytic cell works. If this was plain water, then the bulb will not be glowing, because there will not be enough of ions created, that is anion and cation created in the electrolyte to carry the electric charge. Okay. Now we are going to see the electrolysis of copper sulfate. I suppose you remember copper sulfate color. You can see that the solution is blue. Please remember, copper sulfate is blue solution. Okay. Now let us see whether our circuit is complete. You can see the cell connected. It is connected to, you can see that yellow wire coming, that is the positive terminal connected to the positive electrode. And you have the negative wire from the negative terminal of the cell connected to the negative electrode. Okay, you can see the electrodes below. Okay, negative electrode and the positive electrode. Two electrodes we have. Positive electrode is known as anode and negative electrode is known as cathode. Okay, and see the circuit is complete. You can see that the wires are connected to a bulb over there. Okay, now when we put on the switch, that is when we connect the key, that is when you put on the switch, you can see what happens over there. You can see that the bulb is glowing. That means the electrons from the wire passes through the electrode and then get discharged in the solution. And from the solution, the ions carry it, the positive and negative ions carry it to the next terminal, and thus it goes on. Now, as you know, now while the solution is already dissociated. The copper sulfate is dissociated into copper and sulfate. Copper will be plus charged and sulfate will be minus or negative charged. If it is copper is positive charged, means that is the basic radical or that is the cation. And sulfate is negatively charged, therefore it is the anion. Okay, so anion will move to the anode and cation will go to the cathode. Now you can see, if you keep it after some time, you can see that the copper getting collected on the cathode. So you can see the color change of the electrode. So I am showing the color of the electrode now. You can see it as black. Okay. So we are keeping it for some time and then you can see how the color is changing. Okay. I want you to watch that. So it will be clear to you that the copper from the solution of copper sulfate move to the electrode. That is what I want you to see. Once copper sulfate is mixed with water, it dissociates into copper cations and sulfate anions. These cations will move to cathode, anions will move to anode, and you can see that clearly in the experiment. Okay, so let us see what happens. What is the color of the electrodes after some time? Let us see what happened to the cathode. As we said, solution dissociated into cations and anions. Cations are copper and anions are sulfate. So all the copper will get collected on the cathode. You know which is a cathode? Cathode is the negative terminal electrode that is connected to the negative part of the cell. You can see that negative part of the cell, that is a red wire connected. Okay, so that is the cathode. Now we are going to see the color change of the cathode. I suppose this is visible to everyone. See that color of the cathode, it was black. Now it is reddish brown color. That is, the copper from the solution gets deposited on the cathode. I suppose this is clear to everyone. Okay. So the copper, that is the cations from the solution of copper sulfate get deposited on the electrode. So this is how the electricity is conducted. Okay. From the wire, electrons come through the positive, okay, positive electrode, that is the anode, and relieve it into the solution. In the solution, the ions carries that electricity, so that the cations will take it to the cathode from there, and that is what you see over here. The cathode color changed into reddish brown. If you keep it more and more, this will become fully reddish, like a rust color. You will see that fully it will become. But at the same time, the color of the solution does not change, because according to the reaction taking place on the cathode, the same reaction will take place at the anode also. So equal amount of copper will be created. Okay, I suppose this is clear to everyone. This is the electrolysis of copper sulfate. Okay, we are going to see the electrolysis of water once again. As I said, pure water do not conduct electricity because there is not enough of dissociation taking place. So we put 1 or 2 drops of acid into it and make it as acidified water, which gives us lot of cations and anions in it. Okay, I want you to see the setup of it. We are taking a beaker. You can see the beaker. This is where we will be taking the electrolyte. Okay, now you can see earlier we had seen the cathode, we had put it from above. The electrodes we will be putting from above. Here you can see that the electrodes are connected from below. You can see that the setup, you can see the red is positive and the black is negative terminals of the cell where we will be connecting. Okay, and look at the behind part of it. You can see the 2 wires and that pins will be connected to the electrodes which is connected inside the beaker. So these are the electrodes which is connected inside the beaker. So the circuit connection is complete from behind. Okay, the positive and the negative terminals of the cell is connected to the cathode and anode from below. Okay, now we will be taking the acidified water into this beaker. You can see that we have taken the acidified water into the beaker, and we will be putting 2 test tubes into it. Why are we putting 2 test tubes into it? The test tubes will be inverted. Inverted test tubes we will be putting. Let us see how we are putting it. A cover is put to make the test tube stands. Okay, now you can see that the test tubes are connected to the electrodes. Okay, now we will be connecting the cell. You can see that the cell is connected. You can see the positive, that is the red wire of us. We are connecting to the positive terminal. The negative, we are connecting to the negative terminal. That is of the negative cathode, that is the electrode connection that we are given from below, and the positive anode. Okay, now our circuit is complete. Now observe the test tubes. At the electrodes, the reaction will be taking place, and you can see that the bubbles coming up, and as the bubbles coming up, look at the level of the water in the test tube. Look at the level of the water. You can see that the level of the water coming down. You can see the bubbles. As you observe, which test tube has more bubbles coming up, and where it is connected, which part it is connected, that you observe. Okay, and what is getting collected, why the water level is coming down in the test tube? We know that the water contains hydrogen and oxygen. The chemical formula of water is H2O, that is hydrogen and oxygen. H2O, that is 2 molecules of hydrogen. So the test tube where you can see the water level coming down faster is, that is the hydrogen gas getting collected. And the other side you can see that is the oxygen gas getting collected. We will test and see. Now we cannot, by looking at it, we cannot say whether it is hydrogen and oxygen. But we do the testing and see whether that was hydrogen or whether this was oxygen. Okay. But I want you to see that the water in the level is pushed, water level of the test tube is pushed down as the gas is getting collected above. You can see the bubbles coming up. The bubbles are the gas, hydrogen gas and oxygen gas from the water. Water consists of hydrogen and oxygen. So it has dissociated into H plus and O minus. We have H2 plus, that is because H2O. So we have H2 plus, that is the more of hydrogen getting collected in the test tube compared to the oxygen. Okay. Now, where is the hydrogen getting collected? Which electrode? Hydrogen is positive. Positive will go to the negative electrode. And which is the negative electrode? That is the cathode. And oxygen is the anion, negative charge. So it will go to the positive terminal, which is the positive electrode over here. That is the anode. Okay. Now, we have got some gas over here. We have already collected the gas in the test tube. We will take it out from the liquid or from the electrolyte, okay, and we will not leave the gas out. We will take it out in such a way and we will test whether it is hydrogen or oxygen. We have collected the hydrogen and oxygen. We have got enough of gas. We are going to test it. Okay, so we are putting off the cell. We are taking out the test tube from there of hydrogen. Listen carefully what you can hear. Did you hear the pop sound? You had heard the pop sound of it? Hydrogen gas, we know that when hydrogen gas burns, we get a pop sound. Okay, please remember, whenever it is hydrogen gas, we get a pop sound. That is what you heard. Now we are going to test for oxygen. We know that oxygen support burning. Okay, so let us see how we are going to test for oxygen. I suppose you saw that. We shall see once again the test for hydrogen gas. You have to pay attention, okay, to hear that sound. Only hydrogen gas gives that pop sound. So please pay attention. I suppose all of you heard it. That is how we test for hydrogen gas. Okay. Again we shall see for oxygen. Oxygen support burning. So look into the test tube, whether the test tube contain oxygen or no. Okay? Please observe it. I suppose all of you saw that. That is what we say, oxygen support burning. The test tube was full of oxygen gas. Okay? You can see that still it is burning. Still there is oxygen gas in the test tube. I suppose all of you saw that. Very good.